everyone, and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. And today we'll be looking at some good consumer causes and informing you on your rights as service user. We'll be talking with Ben Cleaver, founder of beard grooming boutique Thatchface. Now, Ben was diagnosed with testicular cancer in 2009, but has since managed to beat his illness. The experience led him to founding his company so that he could give back to male cancer research charities, and 10% of all profits from Thatchface goes to charity. We also have on solicitor advocate Eduardo Fontura, who's going to be giving us his top tips on knowing your rights and how to spot negligence. We'll also be showing you our trip on the Bee Bakery Sushi Bus Tour, a fabulous moving restaurant that treats you to the sights of London while you eat delicious fresh sushi. As always, our resident Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your pressing medical questions. But first, speaking of good foods, we have on iridologist Ronald Delari Simpson to talk about the importance of using herbs daily. Let's go and talk to him now. Welcome to the show, Ronald.
Always delighted to be here.
It's lovely to have you here, because every time you're on, I have to say, we always learn some fascinating facts about food. And today we're going to be talking about herbs.
Well, what I'd like to do is you know, you remember every time we start with there's a reason why, right?
Yes.
Well, I'll give you just a short introduction of how I got into herbs. I was 3 years old, right? And my grandfather from my mum's side was French, right? And he grew herbs, and he grew his own food. And I remember he said to me, he said, "Ronald, come outside, I'm going to show you where your food comes from." And so then he showed me how the plot was landed, like that. 3 years old, what you learn. So how it was laid, and he showed me the chocos and the avocados. And then as part of that process, you know, he introduced me to herbs, right? And I'll tell you, I am so grateful to him, because herbs are the essence of food, right? The essence, right? You see, I see so many cooking shows where they talk about bacon and chicken, but hardly any herbs are used, right? So what we've done at our house is that we've planted 48 herbs.
48?
48,
wow.
48 herbs, right? And the herbs, they had so much more flavour, right? For example, my grandma taught me how to cook chicken with thyme and rosemary and garlic, right? The chicken just comes alive, right? So if you eat this bland piece of chicken, it's all dry and all that, but the herbs all herbs have got oils of some kind. So when you drive the oil into the chicken, or you drive the oil into your fish, right, like I'm going to explain in a minute, what actually happens is that your whole food comes alive, right? So now, what's fascinating about that is that when your taste buds have this amazing taste of thyme or olive oil or bay leaf, you actually create the medium to improve your health tremendously, because your food is digested fully.
Wow, okay. Fully.
So herbs are not just herbs, they are the essence of food, right? So for example here, this is some of the most common ones. And again, when I see cooking shows, I don't see all of this being used, right? So I'll just give you some example, like dill, right? Dill. This is brilliant with fish, okay? So you grill your fish, and then as the fish is ready, you chop up the dill, and you put it on top, and you put a bit of apple cider vinegar and Spanish olive oil. Your fish comes alive, like 5-star quality, right? And chervil is magnificent with pineapple and mango.
That one I've never heard of.
Yeah, it's a very delicate herb. It's some similar grain to the. So the chervil is very tiny. So what actually happens with chervil, you get a pineapple, you cut the pineapple up into slices and chunks, and then you put the mango, and then you put chervil and then sea salt.
Oh, okay.
Unbelievably tasty, you know. Who thinks about doing that? But you put chervil and mango and it comes alive, you know. That's your dessert, right? Yeah. Basil is one of my favourites.
Yeah, I love
brilliant, right? Like, you know, when you do like a bruschetta, you get spelt bread, and then you put your olive oil on there, you put your garlic, and then you put chopped up basil on there, and you can put bits of chicken and so on. You know, it just comes alive, right? So I can tell you that. What you've got to do is you've got to grow your own herbs. Because when you get stuff, like for example, you take bay leaves, right? Look at bay leaves. Now, look, this is our bay leaf, right? Have a look at that. Amazing.
It's amazing.
Now this is the real. Now what amazes me, you go to a supermarket, you get about 5 leaves like that, right? Dried, 70 pence. I thought, I'm not going to have this. So about 5 years ago, I bought a bay leaf tree. It was about a foot high. Now it's about 6 foot high. Paid £40 for it. But guess what? I've never ever had to buy bay leaf again. So this is one of our favourites. So we take 5 leaves like that. So when we cook chicken, we take the 5 leaves. This is full of oil. That's why it's fresh. So you go like that, and then you put in your chicken, or you put in your meat, or you put in.
Do you cut it up or just put it whole?
No, just like that. Just like that. We'll just take the leaf off like that.
Yeah.
You see, like that, and then I'll give you a smell. Just smell that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing, isn't it? See, that's alive, right? So I don't know why people insist on buying bay leaves that are dry. It's just ridiculous, you know. So when you take about 5 for say 2 people, and then the idea is you don't like bay leaf in this case. You put it in and you cook it, and then after you take it out.
Yeah.
Now this is incredibly good for you. You know why? That's full of selenium. Now most foods today got no selenium. And selenium has been proven to be anti-cancer. So when you cook with that, you're getting a dose of selenium every day. So bingo, no cancer. Now, I mean, cancer is a major problem. So that's one of the answers, right?
Wow. So that's simple, isn't it? But
simple, but it's deep, you know. Yeah. So let's look at the next slide. Oh, by the way, just before we go, tarragon. That is an amazingly good herb with lamb. So the way you cook herbs, now, I've seen the way the Indians cook herb. They put their herbs in first, and then they fry it, like onions, ginger. They fry it, and then they put their meat, their lamb, whatever. I've learned the other way. You cook your chicken first with, say, onion and garlic and ginger first, and the delicate herbs like the tarragon
at the end.
On top.
Yeah.
You see, you put it on top. Then you get the flavour of the ginger and the garlic.
Would you put it at the beginning as well, or towards the end?
With the tarragon, you mean?
Yeah.
No, put it at the end.
At the end.
Because this is a very delicate herb. If you cook it,
it just loses its.
You lose the flavour. You lose all its goodness. But in the things you cook first, like ginger, garlic, chili, and what, that first, and then things like tarragon and chervil and dill are very fragile. So you put them on the top. Then you get the onion flavour, the garlic flavour. And then you've got that delicate flavour of the tarragon. Okay. And one of the best things with this, if you put that in apple cider vinegar, right, we use a brand called Bragg's, right? Best, really good.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Use that one, and then you put olive oil with it. It is incredibly good for you. And it's also very tasty, you see. So let's look at by the way, we've got all of this.
Yeah. Oh,
now, what happens is that even if you live in a small apartment...
I was going to ask about this, what if you don't have a garden?
Yeah, if you're in a small apartment, you can make a little box like that, or some people make that, you can buy it, right? But they'll sell that for £20. But you can make yourself, you know, just any bit of timber, but clean it up. Yeah. You know, like this is rosemary, there's basil or oregano, and then this is parsley, right? Yeah. Now, see what's fascinating. Parsley is what I call an apogenic food. Apogenic food. So parsley, chamomile, and celery is an apogenic food. The latest research proves that when you eat apogenic foods, you don't get cancer.
Okay.
Amazing. So I've got a whole list of them. So this is a prime example of an apogenic food. But it's preferable that you grow it yourself. Because when you grow your own parsley, you've got iron in it, you've got all the chlorophyll in it, and it's got the taste.
What about the pots they sell in the supermarket?
That's fine.
Fresh, so
yeah, that's fine. But what you've got to do, that's how you can start. You buy a pot from the supermarket, and then you bring it home, and then you get your own compost, which you make up, or you can buy. Okay. And then I use a particular rock dust from Scotland. I did 4 years of research on that. Rock dust, 420 million years old. And that rock dust is full of minerals. That's the key. You've got to put minerals in your herb pot, so that's when the flavour is so much better. Because you see, when plants lack minerals, like we lack minerals, what actually happens is we die. Because minerals are the spark plug to your life, you know, it's a spark plug to your fire, right? So, for example, when you've taken this home and you put it there and then you put the rock dust around it, I put rock dust around our plants every 2 months. So they're constantly mineralised, you see, like that. Okay. So now what actually happened is that's the key. You can start with that. Okay, next one. Just an example, right? So there's basil, there's rosemary, there's chives, sweet basil. You can have sweet basil different types. There's thyme again. Thyme's a very favourite of mine. Sweet mint, oregano, curl parsley. You can do that in 3 pots like that, and that will grow for about 8 months of the year.
Okay.
Right.
That's
Next
great.
one. Yeah. Now, of course, one of the most known ways is that they use mint like to make tea, and this is incredible. If you have a heavy meal, like say you're eating a lot of meat, right? If you had 1 or 2 cups like that, bang, digestion. This is amazingly good for you. So if you've got irritable bowel syndrome, if you've got any kinds of digestive upset, bang,
This is it.
mint
Okay.
tea.
Mint tea.
Mint tea with honey.
Yeah.
Right, one of my
And
favourites.
this is
right?
so nice to drink, isn't it?
Oh,
So
it's beautiful.
refreshing.
Yeah, it's very refreshing, especially in winter and summer. You know,
Yeah.
in summer you drink it hot. In winter you can have it iced, but I always put a bit of honey with it.
You mean the other way around, right?
No,
So in winter hot?
In winter hot. Sorry,
Yeah,
winter
okay.
hot. Yeah, winter hot.
I was gonna say, okay.
Yes, summer cold.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Now you see, here we go. See, there's the onion base, and there's your bay leaves, and then you put your chicken on top of that,
Cool.
or whatever.
Nice.
You know, that's the way to do it. Okay. Next one. Now this is something that Petrina often does. As you can see, you've got olives, you've got parsley, you've got, for example, this is the parsley here. See?
Yeah.
Here's the parsley. You see, like that. See? See? And this, you see the colour, a green that is?
Yeah.
Now this is Italian parsley, flat leaf parsley. That's one of the richest parsleys you get, right? Like that. So when you get that, it's really, really tasty, and you're getting a lot of iron. So if you're anemic, you eat about half a cup of parsley every day, it will bring up your blood cells quite strongly. Right? Now this rice here is like a arboreal type rice, but you can use brown rice, red rice, black rice, white rice, and then you can make a fantastic dish.
Nice.
But the herbs is what makes the difference.
Okay. Well, not fascinating as normal, but we do have to go now.
I know.
Over time, but thank you so much.
You've
definitely sold us on the herbs, definitely, I have to say. I mean, I love herbs anyway, but I want to do a bit more with them now. Thank you.
Always delighted.
And we'll see you again very soon.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay.
Everybody, now speaking of good food, take a look at our trip around London on the Bridget Bus Sushi Tour. Hi everyone, I'm here waiting for a bus with my friend Audrey, but it's no ordinary bus, it is the BB Sushi Bus Tour. So I love sushi, do you love sushi?
I love sushi, but I've not had it on the bus.
Nor have I. So we're going to be treated to a lovely tour around London, but also this is very special sushi menu. Let me just read to you what it says here. Our sushi menu has been created by top Japanese chef and culinary consultant Goshe Kishi. Having worked in top restaurants in Paris, London, Madrid, Dubai and Japan, some of which are Michelin-starred, Chef Kohei is famous for his Japanese culinary techniques fused with modern French approach. So something I'm really looking forward to now.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah, so join us as we go on the sushi bus tour. Hiya, Chrissy B show. Yeah?
Table B, okay.
B, okay then, thank you. So we're now on the bus, about to try our sushi. So as you can see, it looks very, very pretty. It's well presented. We've got the sushi down here. We've got the desserts. We've got this bowl here as well. Lovely salad here. It looks absolutely amazing. Smells delicious. And we can't wait to get tucked in. It's quite a big bowl actually, isn't it?
Salad. It's salad. It's like Japanese seaweed.
Cheers! This looks nice. That's really fresh. It's lovely. Ooh, soup. I think it's soup. I I think it's a crab. Yeah, no? Let's try it.
Let's try it.
Oh, it's quite thick. I'm not really sure what this is, but it smells nice. It's really tasty. What's that?
Strawberry hot.
Hey everyone, so we have really enjoyed our lovely sushi experience here on the Bridget bus tour. Audrey, what did you think?
It was yummy. It was wonderful. Thank you so much for the experience. It's wonderful.
And we're actually really full. I mean, I didn't think I'd get full up, but look, we've got quite a bit left. We didn't manage to finish.
It's the cameraman's.
Yes. No, I'm taking it home for my husband actually.
Oh,
no, yes.
Sorry, we're having a discussion of who's going to have the last one.
And after everything, we also get a takeaway box for the stuff that we couldn't eat. Well everyone, we hope you enjoyed that look at the Bee Bakery sushi tour, and don't go away because our solicitor advocate will be telling you about your rights and how to protect them. Plus Ben Cleaver will be telling us about how his battles with cancer led him to forming his beard grooming company Thatchface. But first, on average, how many feet of facial hair will a man grow and how long will he spend shaving it in his lifetime? Is it A, 15 feet and 1,000 hours, B, 20 feet and 2,000 hours, or C, 30 feet and 3,000 hours? Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you've enjoyed Ronald Dolores Simpson talking about the importance of using herbs daily, plus our trip on the Bee Bakery sushi tour. And now we're about to talk with our next guest, Ben Cleaver, who founded beard grooming boutique Thatchface as a response to his battles with cancer. But first, before the break, I asked you, on average, how many feet of facial hair will a man grow and how long will he spend shaving it in his lifetime? Is it A, 15 feet and 1,000 hours, B, 20 feet and 2,000 hours, or C, 30 feet and 3,000 hours? Well, I can tell you that the answer is C, 30 feet and 3,000 hours, which equates to roughly 3 months of a man's life being spent shaving. Now, speaking of male grooming and beards, here's Sanni Sorma with her model for today, Ben Cleaver, who is the founder of beard oil site Thatchface, and he's going to be telling us his story a bit later on. But first, Sanni will be getting him camera ready. Hello, Sanni, and hello, Ben.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to have you both here.
Nice to be back.
This is quite different for us because we normally do female makeup,
Yes.
so now we're going to do some male grooming.
Yes, and this would be kind of what you would do if you are going to be on camera, such as today, or if you're having your photos taken. Let's say that you want a new LinkedIn profile. If you're really serious about your Facebook photos, it's just a little bit of light grooming, nothing major.
But how are you feeling about this? Because this is a bit unusual for you, or you don't mind?
I don't do this every day, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, then we are going to be interviewed on TV, so it's good prep, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Although he already looks good, doesn't he? So
I know. I don't actually have that much to do. I am just going to make sure his face is clean. I'm going to use a little bit of micellar water. This is excellent for any kind of sensitive skin, any kind of allergies, anything. Nobody usually reacts to this kind of water. And even if you're not wearing makeup, which I assume you aren't right now.
Not today, no.
London is going to make your face dirty. Coming here makes your face dirty. So obviously, with most men at this point, it would be facial hair grooming, but considering who we have here, there's no need for any of that. This facial hair has been groomed really well. Now, do you have oily, dry, normal? What would you say your skin is like?
Oily, usually.
Okay, so we're not going to put any moisturizer on him. It's not necessary. So if you did have drier skin, it's good to moisturize before. It just gives that kind of youth, like glowy look. Yeah. But with Ben, we're actually going to use a primer, a mattifying primer. So I'm going to put just a little bit on his skin, especially if you're going to be in a studio. There's harsh lights. Yeah. So, sorry, my hands are really cold. So it's actually a good idea to just put a little bit, especially on the T-zone. Obviously, we can't put anything over here, but T-zone meaning kind of your nose, your forehead, and in a lot of cases the chin, but I'm not.
What is that for exactly?
It kind of keeps the skin from getting too oily, especially if you have oily skin and let's say that you're being interviewed on camera.
Okay.
If you get nervous, people's skin tends to get more oily, like at that point, because you're kind of like your hormones are revving up. So it just kind of keeps everything a little bit more matte.
Okay.
Now, Ben again has really good eyebrows. If you don't, you would fill them in ever so slightly. With his eyebrows, they're a little bit on the long side. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a bit of clear gel through them. So it just makes sure that kind of all the hairs are pointing in the same direction. And it's basically the same thing as hair gel. So it just kind of grooms everything into place.
Okay.
Now, Ben's skin is good. If you have a couple of blemishes, what I'm going to do is there's a little bit of redness just here. I am going to just add a tiny bit of concealer. Nothing major. I usually don't put foundations on guys unless they have really kind of discolored skin. Let's see, you're probably right about here. Perfect. So I'm using a fluffy brush and just very light strokes. I don't want anything to be obvious that you're wearing makeup. So as you can see, like the other side has now been, it's not pink anymore. So we'll just do that on tops of the cheeks. I might put a tiny bit just above his eyebrows, but that's about it. If you're covering blemishes, especially for guys if they're doing their own makeup, don't just go in with a finger. Try and use a little fluffy brush. Most of your wives or girlfriends will have one, or get them to do your makeup beforehand. Like it's always...
I try to do my hubby's eyebrows sometimes when he goes on TV, but he just he won't let me.
No?
He doesn't think it's masculine.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not feeling too girly right now, are you?
No, not at all. I've never felt more manly.
That's the right answer. Well, that's the right answer to give while I'm still putting makeup on you.
That made me look like a clown.
I'm not, I promise you. Now, under eyes, we can, like, Ben doesn't have particularly dark under eyes, but if you have really dark under eyes, it's also a good idea to put a little bit of under eye concealer. Yeah. Now, often, if you're powdering somebody on set, you would like just powder here. I don't want to do that. He's wearing a lovely jacket, so I'm just going to very quickly blot his face with a little bit of a mattifying paper. So these you can buy in any drugstore, and it just makes sure that he doesn't get too shiny during the interview. If he didn't have a good color already, I would put a little tiny bit of bronzer, but Ben's already got good color, so we're good and we're ready for a TV interview.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
I mean, it's nice. It's good to do the male grooming sometimes as well, because
I know we have always.
It doesn't take as long, does it?
No, it does not.
Well, we'll see you again soon, Sanni. Yes. Thank you so much. And Ben, we're now going to hear your incredible story, because you've got a really inspiring story to tell all our viewers about in just a moment. Okay, so grooming done. So now it's time for your story, Ben. So can you take us back now to when you first got your diagnosis? When was that?
So that was back in 2009. I was in the last year of university, had a rather large testicle, went to A&E and then went through a whole few weeks of trying antibiotics, and then was taken for a ultrasound, and that's where they then diagnosed me with testicular cancer.
Just a question here, because had you noticed something before and you were kind of putting it off because you didn't really want to go to the doctor, or were you the type of person that, like, okay, there's a problem here, let me just go straight away?
To be fair, it was the size of an orange, so it kind of, I don't know how I missed that, but, now really need to advocate checking all the time. But yeah, somehow I missed having a massive testicle for a while.
All right, okay, well, it's quite unusual. Okay, so Ben, you got the diagnosis. When you were told that news, what went through your mind?
instantly it was, oh God, I'm going to die. It was quite a challenge to kind of wrap my head around. You know, I was 21 at the time, thinking, what the hell? I'm finishing university now. You know, well, I should be finishing university. What happens? Then I kind of I wrapped my head around it quite quickly and was like, right now I just need to get on and get sorted. Yeah. There was no choice in terms of treatment. They were like, you've got testicular cancer, we're gonna take it out, and that was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Wow. So what was that process going through that like for you? Because it must have been obviously so young and having to go through that at uni.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I had the operation, was then back in university the next day, stupidly, nearly burst my stitches.
Day?
Yes, because I'm an idiot, basically. Yeah, I got screamed at by my lecturers for being in.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just the way I dealt with it. I just tried to crack on, really.
Were you kind of just trying to get your mind off it and trying to sort of throw yourself into what you were doing? Yeah,
trying to concentrate on uni and get that out of the way, and then you know, hope as far as I was aware after the operation, that was it, but unfortunately it wasn't.
So what happened after that?
I had a CT scan about 5 days before I graduated and was told that it spread to my lymph node.
Oh my gosh,
so I had to have 9 weeks of intensive chemotherapy.
Wow, which was obviously very tough.
Yep, had its challenges. Hospitalised a couple of times, drips in both arms, and yeah, it wasn't particularly great.
What kept you going then to all of this?
My mum, actually. She, you know, I had a great set of friends. My mum really worked to keep my spirits up. My friends didn't really mollycoddle me. They took the mick out of me a lot, and you know, we got through it by being quite humorous and trying to deal with it.
Did that help you though?
Very much so. Yeah. Very much so. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less from them.
What was the lowest moment then for all of this, and how did you get through it?
The lowest moment for me was when you have to check your temperature when you're on chemotherapy, so you have to be within a certain limit. Any higher, or you have to go into hospital basically. And I was hospitalised for a week with a chest infection that nearly finished me off.
Really?
Yeah, so you know, I had to have, I'd say, 2 drips in my arms, had pins and needles all over my body because just the electrolytes were gone, and you know, the constant scans and blood tests. I'm not very good with needles either, so that didn't help.
Okay.
But yeah.
But after the chemo, after that, were you given the all clear after that?
So after chemotherapy, you then go into a cycle of checks every month, which is a scan and then an X-ray and then blood tests. Then comes up to about 2 months, then 3 months, and then in every year until you get to 5 years. There were a couple of scares here and there where I kind of exercise too much, and there's a breakdown in the muscle when you exercise, which then gives off the same markers that a tumour would potentially. So they had to check that out a few times.
Okay, all right. So now you've been given the all clear, moved on with your life.
Yep.
Obviously, you like to raise awareness about, you know, getting checks, which is very important. But then you did something also really nice, because you've got your business now called Thatchface. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the one thing that kind of carried on going throughout my chemo was my beard, and it kept growing. And granted, you could shave by wiping your hand across your face, but that was the kind of real core part of me while I was going through it, was my beard kept growing. And so the natural thing for me was to try and make a male product that would help guys with beards, but also raise awareness and donate 10% of the profits to male cancer charities as well.
That's amazing. 10% is a lot to donate.
I mean, it's a cause that's close to my heart. I've always wanted to do something, and we've teamed up with the charity Incurred, who are focused on male cancer charities, and they raise a lot of money, and they're a fantastic little charity to work with.
That's excellent. So tell us how you put these oils together then, and how you use them exactly. We've got a few here, haven't we?
My wife and I basically sat in our kitchen for a couple of nights and mixed some oils and tried to make the different scents work. We had a base kind of mixture of sweet almond oil with argan oil as well, which you find a lot in hair products. It's also good for beards. So, you know, we just did a lot of experimentation and came up with the 3 flavours we have currently. Okay.
They smell really good, and I was sniffing them before. I was like, got quite carried away. So can you tell us about so this one's Got Wood?
Got Wood, yeah. They have jokey names because I'm a jokey person, really. So Gotwood has sandalwood, cedarwood, a bit of lime in it, a little bit of rosemary. So it's quite a earthy, woody flavour.
Yeah.
Got wild zest, which is zesty, as you'd imagine. So orange, lemon, lime, bit of ylang ylang as well. And then we have full minty, which has been modelled on the very famous minty shower gel.
Okay.
So it's a nice minty punch to the face, basically.
How do you use it?
So 6 to 8 drops in your hand, just rub it in and then rub it into your face, and
just makes it nice and soft and
soft beard, moisturise the skin underneath, stops the flakes and all that nastiness.
Okay.
So yeah.
I didn't realise men had to worry about these things.
Well,
I really did.
You know, it's a big thing. It's a big thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay. And what about the future for the business? What is it that you're hoping to achieve through it, apart from obviously raising money for charities? There's something more that you want to do with it?
So I'd love to be able to, you know, it's coming up to 2019, so it'll be 10 years since we're diagnosed. We'd love to set up the Thatchface Foundation and try and push for some more charity activities. So really try and raise awareness, get guys talking about all this kind of stuff, because, you know, a lot of people have issues talking around their genitals, really, and so it's really important to try and push that message that you need to check, and if there's any problems, get it checked out straight away.
And anything that you would say to a gentleman watching that is maybe has noticed something but is really embarrassed to go to the doctor?
Honestly, get over it. Your life is more important than your pride, and that's really key to this. You know, if I'd not done it, I'd be dead now. So
wow. I've got so much to live for, right?
Well, exactly. I've got a 3-year-old to keep busy,
bless. Okay. Ben, thank you so much for coming on to talk about this and for raising awareness, and all the best with your new business.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, everyone, don't go away, because after the break, we'll be informing you about your consumer rights via our solicitor advocate, Eduardo Fontura, and Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions, including this one. I play rugby and get a lot of bruises, even for a male rugby player. I wish to know why it takes longer for bruises to heal on my leg and back than my arms, even though they stop hurting in the same amount of time. Find out the answer after this break. Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you've enjoyed our look into male grooming boutique Thatchface, which was started as a response to its founder Ben's cancer diagnosis. It exists almost exclusively to raise money for cancer research, as well as keeping those beards looking shiny and smelling fresh. We'll be talking more about your rights as a consumer and service user later on, but first up we have our resident doctor on to answer your medical questions. And if you have a question for Dr. Rob Hicks, all you need to do is email us on doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hi, Chris. It's good to be back.
It's lovely to have you on. So we have quite a few questions to get through today, including the one I read before the break, and this person's asking, I play rugby and get a lot of bruises, even for a male rugby player. I wish to know why it takes longer for bruises to heal on my leg and back than my arms, even though they stop hurting in the same amount of time.
That's a very interesting question. Well, how quickly bruises heal is based on a number of factors. One obviously is the severity of the injury. One is the size of the bruise, and the other is the depth of the bruising as well. Generally speaking, it takes around about 2 weeks for bruises to appear and then disappear, so that that's the period where you see the colour changes. But I would say to you that providing the bruises are healing, we don't know exactly why bruises take different times to different places, apart from what I've said, which is the size and the depth and the degree of injury. But providing they are healing, then there's probably nothing for you to worry about. The only thing I would suggest that you might want to do is ask your doctor whether you need to have a blood test to check that your blood is clotting properly, because it might be that sometimes it takes longer for you to heal, the bruise to disappear, if your clotting isn't as effective as it might be. But I don't think you've got anything to worry about.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question, Rob. Why is it that I never feel fully awake? Even if I get a lot of sleep, which I usually do around 15 hours a day, I still awake feeling groggy, fatigued, and even exhausted.
15 hours
I was thinking
a day.
that's like lots.
That's lots of sleep, and
That's too much, isn't it?
That could actually be the reason why this person is feeling groggy.
It's way too
because
much.
they're oversleeping. I mean, you know, on average, an adult needs somewhere between about 8 to 10 hours of sleep. You know, maybe 7. We're all different.
Yeah.
So, for example, I need about 8. You probably need a similar amount. But 15 hours a day is an awful lot.
Yeah.
So the sort of things that are going through my mind actually is, is this simply the fact that you've got an underlying health condition which is leaving you tired, and that's why you're sleeping a lot. So, for example, depression, particularly seasonal affective disorder that happens in the UK somewhere between sort of October through to springtime, people often find that they are oversleeping. Another reason might be if you're overdoing it with alcohol, then that might leave you fatigued and sleepy for large parts of the day. Maybe you have an underlying health condition like anemia or an underactive thyroid or diabetes, or if you've got a condition called obstructive sleep apnea where people snore a lot, but during the night they stop breathing temporarily for very short periods of time. It leaves them very fatigued and tired and sleepy the next day. So my advice to you actually is have a look at any medication leaflets that you've got of medication you're taking to make sure that sleepiness isn't a side effect of those. But also have a checkup with your doctor to try and get to the root cause of why you're sleeping too much. Because once that's identified, that can be actually treated. And I would encourage you to try and practice sleep hygiene methods, like going to sleep at the same time and waking up at the same time each day, because I personally think 15 hours a day could well be the reason why you feel, why you're sleeping so much. You're just getting too much.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, next question. This viewer's asking, why do children chew on their fingers and hands? My toddler doesn't chew on her fingers or hands, but I've noticed a lot of other kids doing this. I thought maybe it had something to do with teething.
It's another interesting question. The answer is nobody really knows why children, chew on their hands and their fingers. It can be age dependent, so you're right. If it's a baby or a toddler, then it could be because they're teething. Sometimes it's because a child is stressed or anxious. For example, if they're chewing on the fingers or they're biting their nails. More often than not, it could be through boredom, or it could be just from curiosity to know what it feels like. So for the most part, it's felt to be not a harmful thing, unless of course it's causing problems for the child. So for example, if they're biting their fingers and they're bleeding, but it's a harmless thing as far as most people are concerned.
Okay, next question, Rob. My boyfriend recently broke up with me. I've been really sad. Now I'm very sick and getting worse. Can your emotions or your mood make you sick? Does your brain tell your body to be sick or something if you're sad?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Yeah. If we're talking about being sick, i.e. vomiting, then when somebody's sad, anxious or stressed, or like when somebody's having a panic attack, for example, one of the symptoms can be nausea, and people can actually be sick. It's when the phrase "sick with fear" comes from, or sick with sadness. I'm sorry that you've had a breakup and this has been the effect on you, and I think really you ought to seek some advice from your doctor, or indeed from a counsellor, because it sounds to me like you're very upset by this, and that's very understandable. And it might be that actually the anxiety you're experiencing may also be that you're suffering a degree of depression as a consequence. So it might mean that you simply need some counselling. You might need some medication to manage it. The other thing is, we mustn't always assume that this is related to the breakup. It could actually be totally coincidental, and you have another medical problem, and for that reason alone it's worth having a checkup.
Brilliant. Okay, next question. For a long time now, each morning I wake up with red eyes, lower half only. I have to use eye drops so that people don't think I'm on drugs. It doesn't come back until I sleep and awake again to the mirror's inevitable result. What could cause this?
It's an unusual sort of symptom, and the first thing I would want to know is it associated with any other symptoms, so any pain, any discharge, any itching of the eyes. The sort of thing that's going through my mind with this is that it sounds like some kind of irritant
reaction that maybe it's coming from the bedding because it's happening when you go to bed, and, you know, so that it's there when you wake up? Is it some kind of allergy, for example? So, you know, so it might be something that you're washing your bed linen with that then is getting in your eyes overnight. You're waking up with these symptoms, you use the drops, they disappear, and then of course they're exposed to this irritant again the night before. Are you taking a medication where this could be a side effect? You know, you might have an underlying medical condition, you know, where eye redness is simply just one of the symptoms. So there are conditions where, for example, people get skin rashes, and they also get joint pain and swelling associated with red eyes. So I think the first port of call would be either your doctor or your optometrist, you know, your high street optician, for example, for them to look in your eyes and try and identify if there's a problem that needs treating, and take things from there. If you're getting pain, discharge or any blurred vision, I wouldn't wait. I'd go straight to your doctor or to an eye casualty to be checked out.
Brilliant. Next question, Rob. I got bitten by a tick on my leg. I got it out, but the area around the bite is red now, and I'm experiencing fatigue with a headache, and I'm feeling a little dizzy too. Is this from the tick bite, or did it give me some kind of disease?
The answer to both those questions is yes, and I would urge you to get medical advice as soon as possible. What this could be is something called Lyme disease, which is bacterial infection that's caused as a result of being infected after a tick bite, and what you get is a spreading red rash around where the tick was. It's called a bullseye rash, and it's also associated with symptoms that you described, so fever, headache and fatigue, and it actually needs to be treated with antibiotics. So don't hesitate to go and get some medical advice. It may not be Lyme disease, it may simply be an infection around a bite, but either way that may well need antibiotics and treatment as well.
Brilliant. Okay, next question. Quite an unusual one as well. Does my 18-year-old son still look 12 because of growth problems? He looks very strange, but the doctor said everything's okay.
Okay, well, the first question I would have for this parent is, what do they mean by strange? Yeah. So do they mean that actually they're short? You know, they're 18 and they're very short, or very large, or are we talking about that they don't look their age, so they look 12 years old as far as their facial features are concerned? Well, the one possible answer to this is that actually it may be that you've got young genes in your family. So although your child is 18, they may look 12, and when they're 30, they may look 21.
Oh, that's amazing.
And actually, the older he gets, the more beneficial that is. At this age, it may be a problem, but you know, believe me, when he gets into his 20s and 30s and 40s, it will be very good for him. The other question I would have for you is, has he gone through the normal stages of puberty? So if he has, then that's reassuring. The other thing that I would ask you is he being teased or bullied by his peers about this, the fact that he's 18 but actually looks 12? Because if that's going on, then that needs to be addressed and managed. So, you know, if he's at school or college, have a word with the teachers or the principal to establish if that's going on and what their protocol is, what their strategy is for dealing with bullying. I would say to you though, if he's not bothered by how he looks and the doctor says that everything's okay, then the odds are everything is okay and you've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, maybe not to sort of keep talking to him about it if that's the case, because that could make him feel insecure.
It might not be a problem for him. It might be a problem where a parent has said, you know, they've gone out and said, oh, has your son started senior school yet? And actually he's at the point where he's going to leave. So it's a problem for the parents. It's very much like some rashes with babies. It's a problem for the parents, but not a problem for the baby at all.
I get you. Okay, one last question for today, Rob. My partner is epileptic and he also has the worst fits of anger I've ever seen in anyone. He's 32 years old. I'm wondering, could there be a connection? I don't want to assume everything is about his epilepsy, but the kind of anger he has just seems unnatural.
Okay. The anger is not directly related to epilepsy, so it's not a symptom that epilepsy causes. It may be linked in that his anger may be related to the fact that he has epilepsy, that he has a long-term, currently incurable condition that may well need him to have medication and indeed to adapt his life because of the epilepsy. That said, it may be a totally unrelated situation where what's making him angry is stresses and worries about work, finances, his relationship, for example. Either way, in addition to, if he's on epilepsy medication, checking the information leaflet to see whether anger outbursts are a possible side effect of what he's taking. Whatever, I would suggest that you encourage him to seek some medical advice, because, you know, anger needs to be managed and can be managed. It won't be helping him, and it certainly won't be helping you and your relationship with him, and clearly you're worried about the outburst that he's having. Anger for men is often a symptom of depression, for example, and that can be relatively straightforwardly treated. So encourage him to seek some advice, and there's always anger management classes as well. So there's plenty of positive things that could be done to bring what is a very negative symptom under control.
Brilliant. Rob, that's it for today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure as always.
And we'll see you again next time.
Yes, you will.
Thank you. All right, everybody, so don't go away, because after the break we'll be talking with civil solicitor Eduardo Fontura on some of your civil rights and the best ways to protect them. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you've enjoyed today's program so far. We had on Ben Cleaver, founder of Thatchface, who spoke to us about his mission to use his company as a vehicle for raising funds for cancer research. So we wish him all the best for his future endeavours. We also gave you a quick look at our trip on the Bee Bakery Sushi bus tour, and Rob Hicks was answering your medical questions. So now let's talk to solicitor advocate Eduardo Fontura about how to protect your rights. Hello, Eduardo.
Hi.
Lovely to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm sure our viewers have many questions, but we've got a few things that you're going to talk about today.
Yes, of course.
Which are, the first one is road traffic accidents. Can you tell us what are people's rights regarding this?
So essentially what I do, I'm a civil litigation solicitor, so I deal mainly with negligence type claims.
Okay.
So that ranges from road traffic accidents all the way through to your more complicated types of claims like medical negligence.
Okay.
So essentially anyone could sue someone as long as they can prove that someone else is at fault for what happened to them.
Okay.
And that's what you see with the road traffic accidents. Someone hits you from behind. The presumption is that they weren't paying attention to the car in front, and therefore they get in touch with their insurers and get a payout to fix their car. If they've been injured, they can also get a compensation for their injury. And that's what I assist people with.
Okay.
You also have medical negligence type claims where, you know, someone goes into a hospital for a procedure, and for one reason or another the procedure goes wrong, and that causes something. So it needs to have caused something. Negligence happen in hospitals every day. They're not perfect, but if it causes something bad to happen to that person, then that person can have some right to compensation, and that's essentially what I help people get.
What are maybe some of the things that our viewers then would need to know about these things? Because maybe there's things that they're not aware of that they can claim for, and how would they go about it?
So essentially, as I said, road traffic accidents I deal with, accidents at work as well, which are quite common. If an accident at work happens, then it's useful to always write it down in the accident report book. Every workplace should have one. If someone's witnessed the accident, get their details. Similarly with road traffic accidents, get the registration number. Also, if there's any witnesses around, ensure that you try and get their details so that they can verify what you're saying happened. So similarly in road traffic accidents, if you had an accident and there's some witnesses around, ensure you got the details. The most important thing is to get the registration number of the other car that you've been involved in an accident with. Because that allows the solicitor to then trace the insurance company, find out whether they have insurance or not.
Because that's the thing, because maybe they wouldn't want to give, some people don't want to admit to the mistake, they don't want to give their name, they don't want to give their details, but as long as you get the registration number.
That's correct. Yeah, as long as we've got the registration number, then if we need to get their details, we can then write to the DVLA. They will provide us with their full details, name, address, etc. And also the vehicle registration number is very important because that will help us to locate if they have insurance. If they have insurance, they'll provide us with their insurance company details, and we can get in touch with them.
All right. I just had a question as well. You know, you said to try and get sort of some witnesses and stuff. Can you first of all just record something, or does it have to be written down?
It's not so much about recording. So say, for an example, you're driving your car, you're driving along a straight road and someone comes out from the side road and hits you. That person might say that the accident's your fault because people disagree about whose fault it is. If there's an independent witness, someone who was walking along the street or another car, then you could stop them and say, what did you see? Did you see how the accident happened? Can I have your number and your name to pass on to a solicitor so that they can get a statement from you?
Okay, so don't have to record them sort of giving their story about what happened and stuff like that.
That's not necessary at all. They're just some basic details, name, contact number, then the solicitor will do all the heavy work for you and get in touch with them, and if a witness statement is necessary, then they'll get that as well.
Okay. And in terms of maybe the clinical negligence side of things, because I can imagine sort of maybe people want to cover things up if something, you know, if it has been, you know, the fault of medical staff or whatever. What's the best way of dealing with things like that, where people aren't really admitting to things or willing to? Yeah,
I mean, with clinical negligence claims, it's very difficult to tell at the outset whether you have a claim or not. And everything is recorded. So the first thing that we do as solicitors is get the medical records, because everything will be there. You know, I'm dealing with several claims where there's stillbirth cases, unfortunately, and everything is documented. So it's very hard for them to try and cover it up. Usually with situations like that, and investigations taking place as well. So you might want to look at those notes and see, did the hospital actually think themselves that there's been some negligence and something that they
So you've got a right to have a look at everything that's been documented.
Yeah. As long as you've got the consent of the patient who's your client, you get a form of authority from them authorizing you to obtain those medical records. Then you can write to the hospital or the GP requesting those records. So that's not a problem at all. But in terms of compensation, there's different types of compensation that you can get. It's split between general damages and special damages. So general damages will be something for an example, the injury that you suffered, so your pain and suffering, etc. Whereas special damages will be any losses or expenses that you've incurred as a result of the accident. So a lot of people actually are not too worried about the compensation for their injuries, but they're saying, well, I was off work for a month and they only paid me sick pay, which is 80 something pound a week, which in London, I think we can agree, you can't survive on 80 something pounds a week. So people are worried about that, and we can put that together with the claim. Talking about more serious accidents, for an example, I had a gentleman who was run over and hit by a car, and he suffered quite bad brain injuries. And for that, you can actually, you know, if they used to have a 2-story property and now they need a bungalow and stuff like that, all that comes into play. So you can actually request from the insurer for a new house or something like that. So there's so much to talk about it in such little time, but it actually covers a lot. So I would urge people who have had an accident, if they're not sure whether they can claim or not, get in touch with someone and explain everything to them. And then, you know, if there's nothing there, then at least you have the peace of mind to know that, you know, actually there's nothing that anyone can do. But it's
always check.
Yeah, always check, yes.
All right, brilliant. Eduardo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll see you again soon, and maybe you can answer some of our viewer questions. I'm sure they have many.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys, so that's it for today. And if you have any comments or questions, please do email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about me and how I beat the different problems that I had, you can visit my website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye for now.